Hello, everybody. This is the advanced strategy game on how to play hearts. Here's how this is going to work. I'm going to go through 10 important tips that you need to know that will help you win at hearts. If you don't know how to play hearts, don't worry. I have another video that starts at the very beginning for the absolute beginner. If you're here, it's because you've watched that video or you already know how to play hearts and you're looking to take your game to the next level. As you know, my other videos where I teach board games and card games and puzzle games, I over-explain things, and my goal is to, at the end of this video, get you up and running as much as you need. So I apologize for taking things slow sometimes and over-explaining, but at least you won't have questions. Finally, before we get going, if you have not yet signed up for my Patreon page where you get to play one-on-one games with me, what are you waiting for? Head to Patreon right now, sign up. Patreon members get to play one-on-one games with me, so I'm not playing against a robot, I'm playing against you. Okay, so let's get into the tips. The first advanced tip I have is about passing the two of clubs. The two of clubs, as you know, determines which player starts. And so if you pass the two of clubs to another player, you have a chance to win the first trick. If you keep the two of clubs or have the two of clubs and start with the two of clubs, the guarantee I can tell you is you're not winning the first trick. Now, why would you want to win the first trick? Well, the reason is because nobody can play the queen of spades yet and any hearts yet on that first trick. So therefore, don't have to worry about picking up any points. And by winning that trick, it then puts you in control to lead the next trick. So winning the first trick, which would just be by having a high club, gives you an advantage in the second trick, which leads me to my second big point. Now, when I say never pass the ace of clubs, the reason is tied to the previous lesson. If somebody else has the two of clubs and they're going to lead by the two of clubs, you can then promise that by having that ace of clubs, you are going to win that first trick, thus giving you the control that really kicks off the second trick, which is when you want to be in control. Now, if you don't have the two of clubs, say, but you do have the ace of clubs, you don't pass the ace of clubs, and then somebody passes you the two of clubs, then you're forced to play that two of clubs first, and it can be a little tricky. My third big tip is never lead with an ace. Hear me out. You never know when somebody has played the last card of a suit. And because they've played the last card of the suit, by you throwing an ace, you're inviting them to either play a heart or the queen of spades. And you don't want to get stuck with a heart or a queen of spade. And because you have the ace, you're guaranteed to win. The last thing you want is somebody to throw penalty cards at you. So don't throw an ace as a lead because you're just inviting a win and you may wind up with the penalty points that you don't want. On the other hand, if you are trying to shoot the moon and you do want all the hearts, then play your high cards. Hold on to your low hearts early in the game. Here's why. After the hearts are broken, and therefore you can lead tricks with a heart, you want to lead tricks with low hearts because you're forcing somebody to follow suit by laying down hearts. And if you're laying down low hearts, then most likely they're going to be throwing out higher hearts. They're going to win the trick. They're going to take all those penalty points, not you. But if you are leading with high hearts or you don't have many low hearts and you only have high hearts in your hand, for example, look in my hand right now where I have really high hearts and no low hearts, that's a disadvantage. Hold on to your low hearts. Try to get rid of your high hearts. Which leads us to the next thing, passing cards. You want to pass your high cards because ultimately those are the ones that you could find yourself in trouble with later on when people start playing certain hands and they're lower cards and the only card in your hand is a high one, you wind up winning a trick that you didn't want to, and with it comes certain penalty points. It's odd because in other trick-taking games, like if you've seen my other videos on trick-taking games like spades and bridge, and even just my video on how a trick-taking game works, there's the concept is always play high cards, it'll help you win the trick and lead on the next trick. In hearts, since you're playing penalty points and they're not counting tricks as your points, you want to make sure that you Don't, it's a little backwards, which leads me to my next tip. So my next note is to be careful when passing the queen of spades. When it's dealt to you, most people want to get rid of it by passing it either to the left or to the right or across, but you're giving control to another person that you don't know when it's going to come back. The advantage of passing it is this: you know who has it. The disadvantage is this: you don't know when it's going to be played, and you could find yourself in a situation where you're suddenly leading a trick or you suddenly have to drop a high card and they are able to lay down that queen of spades on you. In general, I like to get rid of the queen of spades because sometimes if you keep the queen of spades and you keep it too long, especially if you have a lot of other spades, you could find yourself laying it down only to get hit with it yourself. If you ever want to shoot the moon, you have no chance in succeeding unless in your hand you have the ace of hearts, as I do right here. And the reason is because the ace of hearts, whoever has the ace of hearts, is guaranteed pretty much to lose a point. Because ultimately, unless you are lucky enough to get into a situation where you're able to lay off your ace of hearts onto somebody else because you don't have the suit they're playing, unless you're able to be in that situation, you're going to lay down that ace of hearts at some point, and 9 out of 10 times you're going to be the one who's going to win that trick and therefore take those points. As much as I always like to pass it because I never go for shooting the moon, having the ace of hearts is at least the option. My next tip, and this is really important really for all trick-taking games, especially bridge, and that is try to keep track of what has been played. And I know that seems overwhelming, but the way to win trick-taking games is to know what's been played. You want to know if I'm going to play a king of diamonds, has the ace of diamonds already been played? Because if you can remember that fact, if you know what cards have been played and what cards haven't been played, you're in control as you lay down other cards later in the game. I get that it's 52 cards and no one's going to remember every card that's been played, but guess what? There are people playing trick-taking games who have figured out how to memorize every card as it's being played. For example, you may have heard that like a lot of seniors get together and play bridge, and they say it's good for their mind. Why is it good for their mind? Because to be good at bridge, you have to memorize what's been played in every hand. It's the only way that you can win your bids. And so like all trick-taking games, like hearts, memorizing the cards is a huge advantage. And it takes time. I swear it can be done, but it takes time. Which leads me to my next. If you can't memorize all of the tricks as they're coming across, the next thing you can do is at least pay attention to what you passed to the left or to the right or to across. You're going to gain 3 cards, but know what you gave away so you know who has them. Be prepared to know I gave the queen of spades to the person across from me, therefore I know the queen of spades is in play, but it's going to be in play with that person. Additionally, take a look at the cards that you have been passed from the other person. The cards that you are passed can give a lot of information about the person's strategy. For example, if all 3 cards are the same suit, that player might be trying to get rid of that suit quickly, or perhaps they have too many cards in that suit. Additionally, I would expect to be receiving high cards from the person I'm passing to or receiving the cards from. If I suddenly saw low cards, I might ask myself, why are they holding on to high cards? Perhaps they're looking to shoot the moon. So the next tip is, when it comes to playing the game, try to void, meaning try to use and void out your diamonds and your clubs. Try to get rid of those 2 suits as soon as possible. Being out of a suit allows you to concentrate on getting rid of the unwanted high cards that you may be stuck with, as well as all the hearts you may have. In my hand, I've got a lot of clubs and I've got a lot of diamonds, but if I could quickly get through those 3 diamonds and be out of diamonds while somebody's still leading with diamonds, it allows me to then get rid of my high hearts and not get hit with that. Having a suit that you don't have a lot of cards of can be a good strategy if you have a lot of hearts. So here are a bunch of other tips that people I see sometimes play. Sometimes this can come back to haunt you though. Don't pass low spades. If you pass low spades, then what could happen is that you could be past the queen of spades. And at some point, you might be stuck where somebody plays a spade. You have to play the only spade you have, which is the queen of spades. You win the trick, and therefore you've won your own queen of spades. But if you have low spades, it allows you to sort of be able to play if somebody plays spades so that you can hold on to the queen of spades and play it when you know the time is right and you're not going to be hit with those points. Next, another shoot the moon thought. If you do think someone's going to shoot the moon and you have an opportunity to just take one heart and just get 1 point, do it, because you guarantee that no one can shoot the moon now if you're sitting on the 1 point, the 1 heart.
Go to my Patreon page and sign up. Patreon members get to play games one-on-one with me, and I don't have to play against a robot anymore. Also, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, right there, and be sure to give it a like and give me a comment so I know that you've been here, and what else? Bye.